Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Check-In podcast with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and the great Sam Parkin, reflecting on round 32, midweek round in the Championship. Bit of FA Cup, bit of a mixed-up weekend. So we're honing on the midweek games, Sam. And in terms of the top four picture in the title race, it's as you were. They all won in midweek. We got Leeds 3 wins in a row, Sheffield United 3 wins in a row, Burnley 2 wins in a row, and Sunderland 2 wins from 3. Nobody is blinking here. Talk to me about Leeds, first of all. Are we just going to be saying the same things now? Team is settled. They're purring. And I think, alarmingly, they scored 7, didn't they, against Cardiff? They could have scored 7 against Coventry, and they scored 4 against Watford. So not only are Leeds purring, Sam, the goals are flying in now.
You're not going to get much sense out of me this morning because I did that thing, considering I wasn't at a game the last 2 nights. I just flicked constantly between all the games. Yeah, all the games. And that's taken me a little bit by surprise this morning, seeing that 14-point gap between Sunderland in 4th to Blackburn in 5th. That's creeped up on me. Yeah, looking at the table, I don't know what website it was this morning, but there's not a lot of red in terms of the matches, recent matches for the top 4. I think there's 1 defeat amongst them across the last 6 games. Sheffield United's defeat at home to Hull, which shows you the consistency, shows you the level that they're all operating at. Yeah, Leeds just relentless. The headline makers in the defensive terms are clearly Burnley and have been for months on end now. Leeds not conceded in 6 and have plundered 18 goals in that time.
I didn't know that. 18 without reply.
Yeah, one of the games was obviously the 0-0 with Burnley, that kind of washout. But, other than that, they've scored freely. Obviously, he's got the opportunity, Daniel Farker, to rotate heavily the front line. And I thought what was interesting, again, just doing a little bit of prep this morning, the most open play goals. Okay, and it's one of the football sites that differentiates that between counter-attacking goals, but 45 open play goals, 10 counter-attacking goals, the most, which shows, I think, a continuing theme when you're talking about Daniel Farker's Leeds team. They can dominate the ball and normally at home, certainly find a way through a resolute team who's come to set up defensively. The kryptonite sometimes has been going away from home and getting beaten by maybe the solitary goal across the last couple of seasons. However, at the moment, going really well. And I think we saw at Watford how explosive they can be on the counter-attack. So it didn't totally surprise me, but I think it encapsulates that they can play both sides of the game. They can win in different ways. So incredibly impressive and just mouth-watering ahead of Sunday against Sunderland. I suppose... Monday, sorry. I would say run-of-the-mill victories for Burnley and Sunderland in the midweek. Sheffield United, probably their best performance maybe since pre-Christmas. I think I'd go
25 minutes there were really good, Sam, weren't they?
I think I'd go that far. And maybe it's easy to talk in those terms because they were so disappointing despite the victory against Portsmouth. And obviously Chris Wilder spoke for 5 minutes very openly about his disappointment at the level of the display. So I think it was hugely improved. The combination of the front players was really eye-catching. I think O'Hare was superb.
Very good.
And is that one of the best passes you've seen this season from Saidi Peck for the Brereton Diaz?
I think it helps when the hard cam's in that position. You're looking at him and you can see the runner come in. And how many times have we seen Diaz do that outside-in run to score as well?
I don't think we should pass, beyond that quickly, because that is a brilliant bit of movement. I can't remember too many goals that I scored where you're kind of picking the space you're going to run through in terms of the way that they were set up. There was a little gap there. He's recognising that the space is there, but also there's probably the space for him to execute the pass. It's really clever thinking from Brereton Diaz. Obviously,
it's not his normal side, Sam. He's normally left into the centre and he's coming from the right as well.
Yeah, it's a good point. I just thought it was really intelligent movement and obviously you need the pass to match, but just a brilliant goal. And you're right, seeing it develop with the higher camera and where you can see the movement, that pass is a really difficult pass to fashion as well. So I thought it was a brilliant goal, and when it gets finished off like that as well, it's just such a beautiful sight. So yeah, I thought Sheffield United so much better. Burnley, what we expect from them, looking really good. The combinations in the first half, they had a real purple patch in that first period.
Sam, I thought of you when Fleming scored. You said there's a lot of balls being hung up for Fleming. They make a lot of crosses. He's got to head one in. There you go.
He attacks it well. I think he does. He's just not been able to get the finishing touch to a lot of the moves recently. I know he's been in good goal scoring form, but I think he's missed a few headers, certainly in the live games that I watched.
First goal in a home game, Sam.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, which I don't know. I think they've not been full of goals, and I suppose there's not been that outright kind of necessity for the centre forward to be notching continually, because if Josh Brownhill or Ray another pops up with one centre half, whoever it may be, it's enough normally to get over the line. So I don't think there's probably been loads of eyes on him, and obviously he's been producing more than enough on the road. So I wouldn't say he's been under huge pressure, but it's still nice for him to get the first goal at home. I don't think it really matters where you score them, is my honest truth on it. But he'll be pleased to have scored in front of the fans, so the majority can see what he's about. But yeah, he's proven to be a really good signing, and he's a real reliable source of goals for them. So yeah, I thought that was comfortable. And Sunderland, considering they dropped the points against Watford, it was fundamental that they got the maximum.
Enzo Lefebvre, mate, he looks an absolute baller, doesn't he?
Was that his first goal?
It was. I said to you, he's been threatening to score. That doesn't go in ridiculous, absurd goal. It's a great goal. He's got proper Buendia vibes, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I had that on for a portion last night, and there was a touch just after the goal as well, which he plucked out of the sky.
Every game.
Yeah, he's a class. And yeah, similarly to what we just spoke about with Fleming, I think, important for him to start, getting assists and goals as well. The supporters love it, don't they? But I suppose, in terms of where they want to get to, he needs to start, impacting goals, games with goals and assists. So yeah, brilliant. Liked Isidore's finish as well. 2 horrible goals for Luton to give away. The first one.
We'll get to them in segment 3, Sam.
Yeah, both goals were awful, but yeah, very, very comfortable for Sunderland. And, the squad that they've put together now, the attacking players. I noted something this morning, actually, that they've not won a game when Jude Bellingham has not featured this season. So that shows his importance to their opportunities of getting playoffs or better. Well, they're going to get playoffs, but yeah, better than playoffs.
Can we just circle back to Leeds quickly to round out this title segment, Sam? So you already mentioned it. Leeds play Sunderland now on Monday, February 17th. They play Sheffield United away on Monday, February the 24th. Maybe you don't include the West Brom game that follows that, but that's essentially, 2nd, 4th and 6th in consecutive games. If I'm a Leeds fan, I'm sitting there thinking that's most of the heavy lifting done. That will be game 35, so there'll be 11 to play after that. If they were to get 6 points from those 3 games, they'd be at 75 points. Are you almost, as if you're a Leeds fan, going, right, this is the real quiz, get this done, and you're kind of most of the way there, aren't you, mate?
No, I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure.
What, just with the high points totals?
I think they're brilliant. Leeds, great side. I fancy them on Monday. I just think the supporters will come out in force, won't they, and make that, some of those games at Ellen Road, nighttime games over the last couple of years, not always gone their way, but I just think
the Leicester one was brilliant last year, wasn't it?
It was amazing, yeah, and I think it could be something similar. I want to shift you to the next 3 after those 3 that you've just mentioned, which you're right in doing. Portsmouth away, Millwall at home, QPR away.
Fair comment.
I'm just thinking the way that those teams and those supporters will raise the stakes for those games. Portsmouth at Fratton Park is a really difficult game at the moment.
Agreed.
Millwall at home, we've just seen what can happen. albeit a number of changes in the FA Cup. But we know that's a very, very good atmosphere when those two teams meet. And QPR at home are a completely different challenge to what they were early part of the season. And again, having been at a lot of these games over the years, QPR fans will turn up and make that a really good atmosphere. Back end of last season, Leeds lost their 3-0 comprehensively,
wasn't it? On the Friday
4-0
night.
was it?
Yeah,
I was there.
Incredible, wasn't it?
Incredible display. So I wouldn't count the chickens before they hatched, or whatever the phrase is. I say that most weeks on this program just to give me a little safety net, just in case I've botched the cliche. But yeah, they're in a brilliant position, and the way they're performing at the moment, it would take me by surprise if they were to fall off to that degree.
And just incredible. But we'll talk about playoffs now. But that top four, you mentioned a 14-point gap. We were saying all of last season, Sam, this will never happen again. 4 teams scoring this many points. You've got Burnley 2 points per game. Sheffield United, we have to mention the points deduction, they've essentially scored 69 points, but they've had 2 hacked off. Leeds have scored 69. Sunderland not far off it. Absolutely brilliant. Let's talk about the playoffs, Sam. And surely if we have an award for most resilient performance of the week for the Blackburn players, given that the manager is, I think they've tweeted now that he's definitely departing and we're just dotting I's and crossing T's. But you knew, Sam, when you saw that kind of passive-aggressive statement from the Blackburn higher-ups, you knew that was done and John Eustace was going to be going. To go away in a 5th against 6th head-to-head and go and win that game is really superb from the Blackburn players last night, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think they're capable of that type of display, spoiling. I think they're really well organised. That was probably my takeaway from QPR last week. Good team, know exactly what they're doing. Just lack maybe a little bit of belief in front of goal. Maybe that clinical finishing element has been lacking too often this season. But really good performance.
He started scoring now, Gay, hasn't he?
He's been really good, I would say, for 6-8 games now.
Agreed.
And not maybe just because of the goals that have started to go in. He's affecting games. His hold-up's been good. He's a challenge for everyone that he comes up against. And again, it's not an area I don't think they're blessed, despite adding a few in the window. So I don't think they're going to be particularly free scoring. If they're going to get into the playoffs, it's going to be because of the fine structure of the team, which I'm sure will continue even in the absence of John Eustace. So big win for them.
Sam, would you ride out the caretaker manager? Would you just say, look, just take it to the end of the season now? It's basically John Eustace's team and tactics. Just try and ride it out and change as little as possible. Or do you think they'll try and do something different? I never know what Finky's going to do you?
I don't know. It depends kind of the dynamic, doesn't it, between the people. David Lowe, is it? That's took the game the other night. Depends the dynamic, doesn't it, between them and the players, whether they have got that character, I suppose, to come in on a match day and be impactful. I'm sure all the people that are in the technical area at the moment and Hawthorns or are good coaches, more than capable to be taking an isolated game. But whether they can do it over a longer period, I'm sure the decision makers will have a better idea than me. I would be surprised, considering the rewards are so great and the position that they're in, what they could potentially achieve this season. So I think you'd probably want a front man in there if these chaps aren't not capable, but if they're slightly reluctant to be number one, then maybe they will make an appointment. But they're in a brilliant position. Let's see if they're rocked by obviously John Eustace leaving and all the conversations about them this week. I don't really want to get too into it, purely because we don't know. We don't know exactly what's going on the inside of Blackburn. We can speculate that he's not felt the backing, or that maybe some players have been signed over his head, or other people have had the input rather than the manager and his close-knit staff identifying the players that have come in during January. A bit of frustration maybe at the long-term picture and his contract situation. I don't think you can not focus in on him having the history with Derby. Firstly, the location as well. And the reality is that, Derby, despite their woes over the last few seasons, is a hugely supported club, and they get massive gates, and what potentially they could be again is enormous. And I just think, Blackburn off the pitch, and I know Derby have had huge issues, but I think when you look at the gates, you look at the potential growth at Derby, I can see how
Sam,
that's alluring.
Sorry to interrupt, mate, and again, I'm speculating. I would not be at all surprised if the next round of investment or David Clowes moving the club into a different area, that's kind of already planned and maybe been sold. As I always remember when Paul Cook came into Ipswich, he was very wink, wink, nudge, nudge. He already knew the takeover was going to happen in 3 months' time, and that's sometimes
I think
for balance in as well, doesn't it?
For balance, it's of course we have to factor in that Derby could very well be playing League One football next year. And
well, given what we're about to talk about in the relegation segment, yes.
Yeah, and Blackburn, stranger things have happened. They could get themselves into a position where they're 90 minutes away from the Premier League. So
I'm still thinking about the 14-point gap and how much better 3rd and 4th are going to be than 5th and 6th in the playoffs. But anything can happen. Yeah,
really good point. If you're asking me now, I don't think there's much of a chance of Blackburn getting into the Premier League. So there's a chance that Derby and Blackburn will be back in the Championship next year if John Eustace can go in there and have an impact. I think a lot more goes into it than we know, and you just have to allow it to play out. And what I do know, John Eustace, in my experience, incredibly focused, professional, and I would be very, very surprised if this is in any way kind of financially motivated. It will be what's best for him and his family, and really importantly, his career trajectory and what he wants to achieve out of the game.
And it wouldn't be fair for me to push you any further on that, Sam, would it? Let me just talk quickly. You can mention any of these 3 teams that also won. Bristol City and Sheffield Wednesday just making me laugh here because they're both exactly the same. Draw, loss, win. It feels like they're both going to land somewhere between like 62 and 70 points if they get a good run. And I don't know whether there's the consistency there, but then we've talked about a low tide playoffs. Coventry, you watched the game, didn't you? Have won 4 out of 5. And other than Middlesbrough, if you're going to give me a squad there, I'll take Coventry's squad out of those challenges. Do you want to speak about any of those 3? Bristol City, Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry, all had good wins?
Yeah, well, as we sit here this morning, there's probably 3 teams that catching my eye, and I'm going all the way down still to Preston just to keep it exciting. So we got 8 points separating 5th and 15th as we speak now. So I'm going to go kind of draw a line for the purposes of this there. So any of those teams have, of course, got a chance of getting themselves into the playoffs. I think it was a massive win for Bristol City, and that's in the aftermath of being there at the weekend and thinking that was maybe the first defeat, the first blow to see them kind of plateau this season and any kind of playoff challenge fall away. So to see them respond in that manner, a couple of changes, enforced changes. McNally was injured, so Hayden Roberts went back to the left of the back 3, McCrory coming back in, Sinclair Armstrong given the start in place of Naki Wells. Mehmeti was completely anonymous at the weekend.
What about that volley for the second goal last night? It's a great finish, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, much to my surprise, really quiet at the weekend. So, yeah, great to see him back. And I just thought that was, a massive victory for them. And to see them 7th, with the feeling I had leaving Ashton Gate on Sunday shows you just how open it is. I thought Coventry were bright for 45 minutes. QPR did not play well at all in the opening half. Really poor. Coventry should have been in front. Paul Nardi was incredible. I text my brother who was on a train to say we've got Lev Yashin in goal tonight. And then he proceeded to basically go AWOL for the Bobby Thomas winning goal. And it came when I was kind of edge of my seat thinking...
It's a great save by Dovin from Frey earlier.
Looks the part. He looks the part as well. And the goal come just when I was anticipating QPR nicking it. Honestly, I thought this is set up for Rangers nicking this 1-0 in the ascendancy. And then obviously QPR concede last minute. But there was a confidence about Coventry in the first half. There was patterns of play, and they've got Sheaf and they've got Hadji Wright to welcome back into the fold. So they're in a really good place at the moment. And Sheffield Wednesday were the other team I wanted to mention. Obviously, I'm missing out the teams that were defeated in midweek that have still got an opportunity. But I just think Sheffield Wednesday, speaking to some mates of mine at QPR the other night, they said they were incredibly impressive in that win at Loftus Road 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You love the manager as well, don't you?
Manager's very good. And yeah, I just felt that Swansea won at Ashton Gate, and there was a real sign of togetherness post-match. They all got in a huddle. You know, the away support were absolutely besides themselves. I was privy to watching a lot of them leaving as I tried to exit the car park. They were delighted, the Swansea fans. I didn't feel that was going to be enough, however, to turn their season around. And I know we're only talking about 90 minutes, but it quickly proved to not be a false dawn, but probably accentuate how difficult the rest of the season is going to be for Swansea. They're not going to fly up the table, and Sheffield Wednesday are a very good side, so no surprise to see them win now. I think we both predicted that, and Sheffield Wednesday and slightly further down the table, QPR will still have aspirations of making that top 6, and why not? Why not? Because I think they're two good teams, and I think they've got two of the better managers in the division, and all to play for with that gap as small as it currently is.
I just did this while you were talking, Sam. 64.6 is what Bristol City in 7th are projecting. For those of you who don't study league tables in as nerdy way as I do, that is incredibly low. I think the lowest anyone's ever been promoted with, I think Blackpool did it with 69 or Palace or something with 69. Just to round out the playoff segment, I'll challenge this to the commenters. Tell me I'm wrong, make an argument. I cannot believe that the 3 promoted teams do not come from the top 4 currently, that are miles better than everybody else. I know tournament football is tournament football. I just think that first playoff semi being 2 legs, when you have teams that maybe you can get a big upset in a one-off cup game, but tell me I'm wrong. Give me an argument that all this duking out and this low tide, we're going to get the 3 promoted from the top 4 like we did last year. Anyway.
I could never go anywhere near that, mate, with any conviction. With any conviction at all. No, nothing would surprise me in the Championship playoffs. I could make, if we had the time, I'd make a case for any of those teams. You know, injuries come into play. You know, we've got managers that specialise in going away from home.
Just as I see it right now, Sam, I cannot believe it won't be one of those teams.
I don't think you can read too much into that gap when it comes to the playoffs, honestly.
Okay. We will see, and it'll be a great debate, won't it? And my God, the tears will be flowing if someone scores. I mean, look, Leeds scored 90 and lost in the playoffs last year, but fortunately for them, they didn't lose to a team that had scored 20 points fewer. It could be a massive amount, Sam. If we're talking about the top 4 being around 90 and 6th being around 70 or even bloody lower at the moment, someone will go on a run and fix this. I tell you a team who needs to go on a run, Sam, Luton Town. I mean, I've been sat here all season. We'll talk about relegation now quickly before we do the quiz. I've been sat here all season thinking this is going to come round. There is no way they're going to go down. And it's got progressively worse. And we kicked off yesterday. Plymouth quickly went 2-0 up. And I'm like, oh my God, if Sunderland score, Luton are bottom. And Sunderland went on and won. And Luton, Sam, a year 1 parachute team in the Premier League last year at round 31, are bottom of the table. I mean, give Plymouth some flowers for 7 points in 3 and an incredible 5-1 win. But this is insane to have Luton, Hull and Stoke in the bottom 6. But yeah, Luton going down here, Sam.
I suppose like what we're seeing now is akin to kind of the first few games of the season or the pre-season, because Matt Bloomfield's got 3, 4, 5 new players.
Yeah,
he's looking at new systems, so he's going to have to be working incredibly hard on the training ground. I would imagine they're doing loads of time, the staff, on planning and obviously getting as much information into the players as possible, going through as much on the training ground. The shape, is very different now to probably what it was under Rob Edwards, and new players and players who I think in time will be fantastic footballers, probably at Championship level or greater. But to throw them in now, I'm talking about Ali, who they obviously got from Exeter. Asgard, been a brilliant player in League One for Wigan. I've seen him in the flesh a couple of times this year. Brilliant player, but there's no guarantee he's going to translate that to creating goals and being
immediately
as impactful immediately in a struggling team. Last night, Nelson, Johnson, Walters, the 3 lads who started the season around the first team and not maybe played consistently. Certainly in the case of Johnson, they're all in the side last night as well. So rightly, he's giving other people an opportunity, but it's just whether time is going to run out. But before they find that consistency, the squad looks better. Some of the experienced guys being left out because they've not done the business. You got Josh Bowler, Nakamba, Naismith, Adebayo, all on the bench last night. It's just finding that formula that works and getting some individuals performing a hell of a lot better than they have been last night. Apart from the Morris header, which somehow Patterson kept out, it was another very, very limp performance. So, yeah, I don't know how they're going to turn it around, but I suppose never say never when you see the quality of the squad and you remember kind of the rescue job that Nathan Jones did a few years ago. The fans need something, don't they? They need something in the home game to get behind and hopefully give the players a little bit of confidence.
Sheffield United next.
Yeah, very difficult. But it could take a game like that, couldn't it? It could take a backs to the wall kind of performance of grit, low scoring, defensively, need to be right at it. You could see it happening, but the longer the season goes on, it's incredibly frustrating, I'm sure, for everyone at the club, especially having rolled the dice and not had much of an impact as of yet. Stoke, I suppose, are a team I'd highlight to be on a little bit of a slippery slope. Absolutely going to be in the relegation battle, it would seem. What are they now? 19th with Portsmouth improving. Cardiff, obviously, I worry about them. Derby look like they're going to change the manager. Will that be impactful on their results? And Argyle are I suppose I was going to say big movers. Well, they are the big movers because they beat West Brom. They drew with Sunderland. They've thumped Millwall in the cup game, sandwiched in there somewhere as well. So they'll be feeling really good. And Ryan Hardy, after such a barren spell, back absolutely flying. I think he's finished in that manner a few times. That little dink, I knew it when he went in. So Roberts, isn't it, in goal for Millwall now? Probably should have known that he was going to, from that angle, dink it and try and find the goal that way. Yeah, great goal. So, and thankfully, the old incredible speech from the manager looks like it's not just going to be cast aside.
Viral Twitter moment
to the history books, and maybe he's going to prove to be the real deal, because at the moment he's given them a real boost and they've got themselves an opportunity.
And before we go to the quiz, if I'm talking about top 4 scoring loads of points and then inconsistency, those points are now going in at the bottom of the table. They've got to go somewhere. And when I'm seeing 2 wins in a row for Plymouth, 2 wins in the last 5 for Hull, there's 2 wins there for Cardiff, I wonder whether the table might look very similar to last season in terms of 4 at the top, inconsistent, and then I don't know, it was poor old Birmingham, wasn't it, on 50 points, getting relegated last year. Someone might go down with a lot of points if this.
Yeah,
this
I was just going to make a point about Derby. I mean, John Eustace, if he's getting the gig today or whatever, going in there, he's Is that where we're at with it? I don't even know where we're at with it now. But
Blackburn have announced he's departed, so it will happen today.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially going into, in terms of the bottom 6, bottom 8, he's essentially going into the team in the worst form, along with Luton in the division.
With potentially the worst squad. No offence, they've come up from League One.
Yeah, and the setup is going to be all about making them hard to beat. The back three's obviously changed. I think that the personnel that they've got there is pretty good still.
No Smodics this year, though.
No, so it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be being hard to beat and trying to get a tune out those front players. I've quite liked the look of Salverson, what I've seen, but still they're chopping and changing, playing someone off him. Sometimes Yates is playing with him. The formation's not been consistent, obviously under Paul Warne as he searched, but it's not going to be a given that he's going to be able to go in there and quickly turn around things. So it's going to be a hell of a scrap for them. And scoring goals is the massive issue at the moment. Yeah, not beaten by Oxford last time out, but still drawing a blank. So it's going to be the same problem that he inherits.
Brilliant stuff, Sam. We're going to rattle through the quiz. We'll do it quick fire because we've enjoyed our conversation so much. We've gone a little bit long on the podcast this week. Do you want me to ask you first, Sam? Or...
Go on, mate. I'll go first, please, today.
Okay. Evening, Ben. This is from our mate Fev's Football Analytics at Fev's Football on Twitter. So we go quick fire. Can you name 3 of the 6 teams with the worst home record over the past 4 games? It's a difficult one. Stick your finger in the air on this one. So
3 of the
6 teams with the worst home record over the past 4 games. You can get 3 guesses, yeah?
100,000,000% Watford.
Watford are the worst. They have 0 points and 4 defeats. You're 1 for 1.
It gets harder after that.
I'll allow you a league table if you got one up.
Yeah, I got one up. I'm going to say not them. I'm going to say Derby.
You're doing really well because they are the next worst. Remember, they've had a horrible losing streak as well. You're 2 for 2. Can you go 3 for 3, Sam?
Oh, man, I'm not sure I can. I will go for... I don't know. I'm going to go for... Stoke.
Stoke, annoyingly, Sam, are not there. If you'd said Swansea, Hull, Luton or Millwall, you would have been 3 out of 3, but it's a good score. 2 out of 3. What you got?
Should have got that.
What you got for me?
Should have got that. I have got for you. Can you name 3 of the 6 teams with the worst away record over the last 4 games?
Well, I'll
3
dive
of the 6 teams with the worst
straight
away.
in with Derby then because of the losing streak.
Derby have got 1 point. Yep.
Oh, God. Luton haven't won away all season, have they?
1 point.
Not Hull because they won at Sheffield United. Not Cardiff have some good away wins. I'm going to go Stoke.
Oh, that's what I said. Stoke are not there. No. Oh, you're going to kick yourself. So West Brom are the 6th worst with 2. Then Plymouth with 2. Yeah, West Brom are terrible away from home right now. That took me by surprise. I was looking at that the other day. Cardiff, you said 2 points. Then Derby and Luton with 1 point. And Pompey, come on. Pompey, no points.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Thank you, everybody, for...
Sorry, Stoke. Sorry, Stoke fans. Sorry, Mark.
we underestimated. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for checking out the Championship Check-In podcast. You can also check out the predictions that should already be up by the time you see this. And we will see you early next week for another one.